Most men misunderstand confidence. They think it's about being loud, being noticed, or dominating every room they walk into. They believe confidence is an act, something you perform, like a role you play to impress others. But true confidence is never about performance, it's about presence. It's not how much attention you can steal from others, it's how much security you radiate within yourself. And that difference matters more to hot women than most men realize. A woman who is attractive, socially desired, and constantly approached by men develops a radar for fake confidence. She has seen every kind of performance: the boastful guy flaunting his car keys, the gym-obsessed guy flexing his muscles, the loudmouth who can't stop talking about his achievements. At first glance, they may appear confident, but very quickly, she can sense what's underneath: insecurity, fear of rejection, and a desperate need for validation. That is not confidence, it is camouflage. Real confidence, the kind that captivates a woman, is much quieter. It is subtle, steady, and almost invisible to those who don't understand it. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows itself in the way a man stands, in the way he looks someone in the eye without flinching, in the way he speaks without rushing or over-explaining. Confidence isn't about proving anything. It's about knowing deep down that you don't have to prove anything at all. Hot women are not turned on by a man who needs to be seen. They are turned on by a man who is already whole, already certain of who he is, with or without their validation. And this is the key distinction. When a man radiates authentic confidence, he flips the dynamic. Instead of chasing her approval, she begins to chase his certainty. Psychologically, confidence signals survival. It communicates strength, stability, and the ability to handle life's challenges. Women are biologically wired to seek these qualities because, at a subconscious level, they associate them with safety and leadership. A man who is deeply secure in himself activates a woman's feminine polarity. She can relax, she can surrender, because she feels protected by his presence. This is not about physical dominance alone, it's about emotional grounding. Confidence tells her, no matter what chaos happens out there, I can handle it. I can handle you, I can handle us. Philosophically, confidence is tied to the concept of self-ownership. You cannot be confident if you do not own yourself, your desires, your flaws, your strengths, your choices. Too many men try to borrow confidence by attaching it to external things: money, status, a job title, a car. But external things can be taken away, and when they are, that borrowed confidence collapses like a house of cards. Authentic confidence is built on something no one can take from you: your self-respect, your integrity, your alignment with who you are. This is why cockiness and arrogance fail. Cockiness is an attempt to inflate the ego because the man fears he is not enough. Arrogance masks insecurity. It says, if I make myself look bigger, maybe no one will notice how small I feel inside. But true confidence doesn't expand to fill the room. It simply exists effortlessly because it is grounded in truth. Think about this: when a man walks into a room and doesn't feel the need to announce himself, people notice anyway. His stillness becomes power. His silence becomes weight. He doesn't try to impress, he impresses by not trying. And for a hot woman, that restraint is magnetic. She is used to men bending, performing, chasing. The man who doesn't do any of that disrupts the pattern. He stands out by standing still. But let's make this practical. How do you embody that kind of confidence? First, you must be comfortable with rejection. Confidence is not about being fearless, it's about not being defined by fear. If she says no, you remain unmoved, because her response does not determine your worth. Second, you must learn presence. Put down the phone, stop the restless movements, breathe deeply, and actually be where you are. A confident man is never in a hurry. His time is valuable, and he acts like it. Third, you must accept yourself completely. Own your scars, your weaknesses, your mistakes. Nothing turns a woman off faster than a man pretending to be flawless. But nothing turns her on faster than a man who owns his imperfections with strength, because that honesty signals fearlessness. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to impress women, that's when they become most impressed. When you no longer center your identity around their reaction, they start reacting differently to you. Because attraction isn't about technique, it's about energy. The energy of a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her. The energy of a man who doesn't chase validation because he validates himself. Confidence is freedom. Freedom from insecurity, freedom from performance, freedom from dependence on external approval. And when a man reaches that place of inner freedom, women can feel it instantly. They can sense it in the way he moves, in the way he speaks, in the way he carries his silence. That is the aura of confidence. It's invisible but undeniable. So the next time you think confidence is about being loud, showing off, or forcing attention, remember this: the strongest presence in the room is often the quietest one. True confidence doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't shout, it resonates, and it doesn't bend to win her over. It stands firm, and she comes closer on her own. Closing line: confidence is not what you do, it is what you are when nothing needs to be done. Become that, and you'll never have to wonder what turns a hot woman on. Again, most men underestimate the power of emotional depth. They believe women are only drawn to physical attributes, financial stability, or status symbols. But what separates a man from the countless others chasing a hot woman is his ability to connect with her on a deeper plane, beyond appearances, beyond surface conversations, beyond the predictable compliments. A beautiful woman doesn't just want to be admired, she wants to be understood. And this is where emotional depth and presence become a force of attraction more magnetic than looks or wealth ever could be. Presence is rare today. We live in a world full of noise, constant distractions, endless scrolling, notifications, and fragmented attention. Most men are there in body but absent in mind. They may sit across from a woman at dinner, but their eyes dart toward their phone, their attention wavers, their mind races with what to say next. That lack of presence communicates something instantly: he is not fully here. And if he cannot be fully here with her, she cannot feel safe, she cannot open up, and she cannot surrender into her femininity. Emotional presence means you're not just listening to her words, but to her energy, to her silences, to what she is not saying. It means you look into her eyes and truly see her, not as a trophy to be won, not as a body to be conquered, but as a human being whose essence you are genuinely curious about. For hot women who are often objectified, reduced to their looks, and treated like prizes, this is revolutionary. To be seen fully, to be met beyond the physical, is deeply attractive. Psychologically, emotional depth signals something profound. It shows maturity. It shows that you are not afraid of intimacy, not afraid to go deeper than surface level exchanges. Most men stay in the shallow end because they fear vulnerability. They fear revealing too much, being judged, or losing control. But women crave that depth. When you show her that you are capable of emotional courage, that you can handle your own feelings and hold space for hers, you activate a level of trust that makes attraction effortless. She begins to feel that she can let go of her defenses because you can carry the weight of real connection. Philosophically, presence is about being rooted in the now. When a man is present, he communicates that he is not trapped in regret of the past or anxiety about the future. He is grounded in the moment, fully alive, fully attentive. This is powerful because women are emotional beings. They live and breathe through feelings. When you are present, you pull her into the now with you, and she feels that intensity. It makes even ordinary moments, sharing coffee, walking in the park, sitting in silence, feel electric. But let's be very clear. Emotional depth does not mean oversharing, neediness, or turning a date into a therapy session. It is not about unloading all your feelings onto her or expecting her to fix your wounds. That is emotional immaturity, and it repels women. True depth is measured, grounded, and masculine. It means you can express yourself openly but also hold space without judgment. It means you can be vulnerable without losing strength. That balance is what turns her on. It is both safety and excitement in one. Imagine this: she is speaking about something important to her. Most men nod absent-mindedly, waiting for their turn to talk, or worse, they interrupt with a story about themselves. But the man with presence listens deeply. His body language is calm, his gaze steady. He is not thinking about the next clever line to impress her. He is absorbing her words, and when he responds, it is not with a rehearsed answer, but with something that shows he truly understood her. In that moment, she feels rare, she feels valued. She feels that her beauty is not the only thing captivating him. Her mind, her soul, her essence matter too. That is intoxicating for her. And here's another paradox. The more present you are with a woman, the less effort you need to make. Presence itself does the heavy lifting. She feels it in your energy, in your groundedness, in the calmness of your breath, in the patience of your pauses. Presence is attractive because it's so rare. In a world full of men trying to impress, the one who slows down and simply is, he becomes unforgettable. So how do you cultivate this? First, you must master stillness. Learn to quiet your mind. to sit with silence without discomfort. Second, practice genuine curiosity. Ask her questions not to fill space, but because you truly want to understand her perspective. Third, stop multitasking your life. The man who is distracted in his own world will always be distracted with her. Presence is a habit you develop in everything you do, when you work, when you listen, when you rest. And remember, emotional depth is not something you switch on for women. It is who you are. If you are shallow with yourself, if you avoid your own emotions, if you run from your own inner conflicts, you will never be able to connect with her on a deeper level. A man can only meet a woman as deeply as he has met himself. That is why the journey inward is non-negotiable. The more you understand your own depths, the more effortlessly you can hold space for hers. When you combine emotional depth with presence, you become rare. You become the man who doesn't just touch her body, but her soul. And for a hot woman, that is the ultimate turn on, not the fleeting thrill of physical attraction, but the enduring fire of emotional connection. Closing line. Presence is the art of making her feel that in this moment, nothing else exists but her. And when you master that, she will never want to exist anywhere else but with you. If there is one quality that consistently turns women on, especially high-value, attractive women, it is ambition. Not money, not possessions, not the shallow glitter of temporary status, but raw, unfiltered drive. Because drive is the heartbeat of masculine energy. It signals that a man is alive, that he is moving forward, that he is not stagnant or complacent. A beautiful woman doesn't want to attach herself to a man who is standing still. She wants to feel pulled into his current, carried by his vision, ignited by his hunger for something greater. Ambition tells her, this man is not here to drift through life. He is here to conquer, to build, to expand. And that energy is magnetic. Now let's clear something up. Ambition is not the same as wealth. You can be rich and uninspiring. You can have money and still lack drive. True ambition is not about what you have. It's about where you are going. It is the inner fire that refuses to settle. The relentless pursuit of becoming more than you were yesterday. For a hot woman, that fire is intoxicating because she knows a man who is ambitious will not just elevate himself, he will elevate her too. Psychologically, ambition signals survival value. It shows that a man is not content with bare minimum living, that he has the strength and resourcefulness to carve his path in the world. Women are wired to respond to that energy because it communicates security, leadership, and growth. A man with no ambition signals the opposite: stagnation, predictability, and decline. That energy may feel safe at first, but very quickly it suffocates attraction. Philosophically, ambition is the refusal to betray one's potential. It is the acknowledgement that life is short and mediocrity is a form of death. A man who is ambitious is saying to the world, I honor the gifts I've been given. I will not waste them. That kind of man radiates purpose. And purpose, more than looks, more than charm, more than wealth, is what compels a woman to follow. But ambition is not about being restless for the sake of movement. It's about direction. A man can be busy without being ambitious. He can chase distractions, drown in meaningless activity, and still go nowhere. True ambition has clarity. It is the steady pursuit of a vision that stretches him, challenges him, and defines him. When a woman senses that clarity in a man, she feels pulled toward him because clarity is rare and rare is irresistible. Think of it this way. A man without ambition is like stagnant water. It grows stale, it attracts disease, it loses life. But a man with ambition is like a river, always flowing, always moving, carving valleys and shaping landscapes. A woman standing at the edge of that river feels its pull. She wants to step in, to be carried by that force, because it excites her, it awakens her, it promises growth. But ambition has another layer that many men overlook. It is not just about chasing goals, it's about how you chase them. Some men are ambitious in a way that is frantic, insecure, ego-driven. They chase not to grow but to prove. That energy is exhausting and women can sense it. What turns a woman on is not just a man who has ambition, but a man whose ambition comes from a place of purpose, not desperation. His drive is not about proving people wrong, it's about proving himself right. And here lies the paradox. Ambition is deeply attractive, but only when it is rooted in grounded masculinity. If a man sacrifices his integrity, his presence, his relationships, all in the name of ambition, he becomes one-dimensional. Women don't want a man who is enslaved by his goals. They want a man who is fueled by them. There's a difference. The first is obsession without balance. The second is mastery. Practically, cultivating ambition means asking yourself, what am I building? Where am I going? What am I willing to suffer for? Because ambition without struggle is an illusion. Every man who is truly ambitious has scars. And here's the secret. Women are not turned on by the achievements themselves, but by the process, the grit, the resilience it took to get there. The man who keeps going, who refuses to settle, who rises again after being knocked down, he radiates strength. That resilience, more than the final trophy, is what captivates her. Ambition also creates polarity. When a man has a mission bigger than himself, he cannot revolve his entire life around a woman. And ironically, that makes him far more attractive, because women are not turned on by men who make them the center of their universe. They are turned on by men who have their own universe and invite her into it. Ambition gives a man that gravitational pull. So the next time you think being attractive to women is about impressing them with material possessions, remember this: she is not turned on by the car, the house, or the lifestyle. She is turned on by the man who built it, by the discipline, the courage, the drive behind it. The external is only a reflection. What excites her is the internal engine, the unstoppable force that refuses to live a small life. And if you truly want to embody ambition, don't chase it for women. Chase it for yourself. Build because you must. Pursue because you cannot imagine life without growth. When you live like that, women will notice without you saying a word. Because true ambition doesn't need to be advertised, it radiates. Closing line: a man's ambition is not measured by what he owns, but by what he refuses to settle for. And when a woman feels that relentless drive within you, she won't just be attracted, she will be compelled to join you on the journey. One of the deepest truths about attraction is this: feminine energy is drawn to masculine energy the way a magnet is drawn to steel. It is not logical. It is not a choice. It is primal. And this is why strength, true, grounded masculine strength, is one of the most powerful turn-ons for women, especially women who are highly attractive and carry a strong feminine essence. Now, strength is one of those words that gets misunderstood. Most men confuse it with brute force, aggression, or domination. They think being masculine means being loud, controlling, or intimidating. But strength in its purest form is not about overpowering anyone. It is about being unshakable. It is the ability to hold your ground when life tests you, to remain calm when chaos erupts, and to stand firm in your principles even when the world pressures you to bend. That is strength, and that is what feminine women find irresistible. Attractive women are surrounded by men who crumble at the first sign of challenge, men who change their opinions to please her, who back down to avoid conflict, who lose themselves the moment her beauty puts them under pressure. But when a woman encounters a man who is grounded, who knows who he is and doesn't waver, that hits differently. It awakens something in her. She feels polarity. She feels her own femininity come alive in response to his steadiness. Psychologically, strength communicates safety. A woman's nervous system is tuned to feel whether she can relax around a man or whether she has to stay alert. When a man is shaky, indecisive, reactive, or easily manipulated, she cannot relax. She may spend time with him, but she will not feel that primal attraction. Because attraction is not about words. It is about energy, and the energy of masculine strength says, you can let go here. I can hold this. Philosophically, masculine strength is tied to sovereignty. It is the refusal to hand over your power to circumstances, to emotions, or to other people's opinions. It is about being the center of your own axis. When a man is sovereign, he does not collapse when rejected. He does not inflate when praised. He remains steady, consistent, aligned. That kind of man becomes like a mountain, unmoved by storms, unshaken by winds. And women are drawn to mountains because mountains don't chase, they stand, and everything else gravitates around them. But strength also has a softer dimension that is often overlooked. True strength is not rigid, it is adaptable. A river is strong not because it resists the rocks, but because it flows around them, carving its way over time. Masculinity that is too hard, too inflexible, becomes brittle and breaks. The strength that women admire and are turned on by is balanced. It is firm when needed, gentle when required, but always grounded in presence. That balance is what allows polarity to thrive. Think about this in relationships. A woman who is deeply feminine does not want to lead the dance. She wants to be led, not because she is weak, but because she wants to surrender to the flow of connection. When a man hesitates, she feels forced to step into masculine energy to take control. That kills attraction. But when a man is decisive, when he chooses, when he provides direction, we're going here, let's do this, I've got this handled, her body and mind relax. She can finally lean back into her femininity, and attraction ignites like fire meeting oxygen. And this is where many men struggle. They think strength is about always being tough, never showing vulnerability, but that is a shallow interpretation. True strength includes the courage to be open. Vulnerability without strength is weakness, but vulnerability held within strength is power. A man who can reveal his truth without collapsing, who can share his fears without needing rescue, demonstrates a depth that is rare. To a woman, this is irresistible. It shows her that his heart is open, but his frame is unshakable. Practically embodying masculine strength begins with discipline. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot lead anyone else. The man who constantly breaks his own word, who cannot control his impulses, who runs from discomfort, he cannot expect to be seen as strong. Strength is forged in self-mastery. It is built in the small daily choices, keeping your word, holding your boundaries, facing your fears. These habits accumulate into an energy that women feel instantly, even if you say nothing. Strength also means not outsourcing your sense of worth. Too many men give women the power to define them. If she likes him, he feels good. If she rejects him, he feels worthless. That is weakness, because it makes you dependent on forces outside of yourself. A strong man appreciates her presence, but does not hinge his identity on her approval. That detachment is not coldness, it is self-respect. And paradoxically, when a woman senses that you do not need her validation, her attraction to you intensifies. There is another dimension here to protection. A man with strength signals that he can protect, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Protection doesn't mean fighting everyone who looks at her. It means creating a space where she feels safe to express herself, safe to be vulnerable, safe to explore her softness without fear of judgment. That level of protection is rare, and it requires strength that is both outer and inner. So when we talk about what turns hot women on, remember this: it is not just muscles, not just confidence, not just success. It is the deeper strength of character, the strength that stands firm but doesn't need to dominate, the strength that protects without controlling, the strength that leads without suppressing. That is what awakens her deepest attraction. Closing line: masculine strength is not about force, it is about presence. It is not about control, it is about groundedness. Become that unshakable force, and you will not have to chase attraction. It will flow to you as naturally as the river flows to the sea. If there is one quality that keeps attraction alive long after the initial spark, it is mystery. Men often assume that women want everything laid out, every feeling expressed, every plan explained. But the truth is, predictability is one of the fastest killers of attraction, especially for women who are beautiful, desirable, and used to men bending over backwards to please them. For such women, mystery is oxygen. It keeps them intrigued, keeps them guessing, keeps them leaning in rather than pulling away. Now, let's make something clear. Mystery does not mean playing manipulative games. It's not about ghosting, withholding affection, or creating artificial distance to trick her into wanting you more. That kind of immaturity backfires because it comes from fear and insecurity. Real mystery is not an act. It's a natural byproduct of a man who is whole within himself. A man who has dimensions she cannot see all at once. A man who cannot be fully consumed in a single glance or a single conversation. Why is this so attractive? Because human beings are wired to crave challenge. What is easily acquired loses its value quickly. And for a woman who is constantly pursued, constantly complimented, constantly handed attention, the men who are overly available or overly transparent blur together. They are predictable, and predictability breeds boredom. But the man who is slightly out of reach, who gives her enough to feel connected but not enough to feel certain, that man stirs her imagination. He awakens curiosity, and curiosity is the spark that fuels long-term attraction. Psychologically, mystery taps into the dopamine system. Our brains are more stimulated by uncertainty than by guaranteed rewards. If she always knows what you'll say, what you'll do, how you'll react, she checks out emotionally. But if there is an element of unpredictability, if she cannot fully map your inner world, her mind stays engaged. She keeps wondering, what's next with him? What else is there to discover? That anticipation is intoxicating. Philosophically, mystery reflects depth. A man who reveals everything about himself too quickly signals that there isn't much more beneath the surface. But a man who has layers, who reveals himself slowly, thoughtfully, at his own pace, communicates that his essence is vast. He is not trying to be consumed in one sitting, because he knows he cannot be. This mirrors the greatest truths of life itself. The most profound things are never obvious at first glance. They must be discovered over time through patience, curiosity, and presence. Think of it like this: reading a book is exciting not because you know the ending, but because you don't. You turn the page because you want to discover what happens next. Attraction works the same way. If she already knows the whole story of you within the first few moments, there's no reason to turn the next page. But if you reveal yourself like a book that cannot be skimmed, complex, layered, with new insights in every chapter, she will stay hooked. But again, let's ground this. Mystery is not about being secretive or closed off. If you hide everything, if you refuse to open up, that is not mystery, that is distance. And distance kills connection. Real mystery exists in balance. You are open enough to create intimacy, but not so transparent that you remove all intrigue. You give her access, but never total access. You reveal parts of yourself, but you always keep evolving, so there is always more to discover. Practically, this looks like having a life that doesn't revolve around her. A man who is constantly available, who responds instantly to every message, who drops everything the moment she calls. He may think he is showing devotion, but in reality, he is killing polarity, because what he is signaling is, I have nothing going on outside of you. That is not attractive. A man with mystery is a man whose time is valuable, whose energy is invested in meaningful pursuits, whose world is bigger than just one relationship. That bigness creates intrigue because she feels she is entering into a life already full, rather than becoming the sole purpose of your existence. Mystery is also about self-control. Don't reveal every thought the moment it appears. Don't over-explain your feelings. Don't tell her everything you plan to do before you do it. Leave room for her to experience you in real time. Women find it attractive when a man is thoughtful with his words, when he chooses silence over unnecessary chatter, when he lets his actions reveal more than his explanations. That restraint communicates depth. And let's not forget, mystery must also extend to how you lead the relationship. Take her somewhere unexpected, challenge her assumptions, surprise her with new experiences. If she can predict everything about how you date, the relationship loses its electricity. But if you keep adding layers of novelty, not in forced ways, but in authentic expressions of your evolving self, she remains captivated. At its core, mystery is about being a man who cannot be fully conquered, not in a defensive way, but in a grounded way. You are whole within yourself. You are evolving. You are not easily categorized, not easily summed up, not easily owned. That doesn't mean you're distant or unavailable. It means you are dynamic, alive, always unfolding. And that unfolding is what keeps her chasing, keeps her wondering, keeps her turned on. So the next time you think being transparent about every detail of your life will make her trust you more, remember this trust is built on consistency, not on flooding her with access. And attraction is built on curiosity, not on predictability. The man who balances honesty with intrigue, who offers stability with surprise, who is grounded yet endlessly unfolding, that is the man who keeps her coming back again and again. Closing line. Mystery is not about hiding. It is about revealing yourself slowly, deliberately, and endlessly, so that she never stops turning the pages of who you are. Be that man, and she will never stop reading. If there is one quality that separates men who are tolerated from men who are desired, it is integrity. Not the watered-down version of integrity that gets reduced to being nice or telling the truth. I'm talking about integrity in its deepest, most unshakable form, the alignment between your words, your actions, and your values. A man of integrity is not swayed by convenience, temptation, or fear. He knows who he is, what he stands for, and where he draws the line. And that, more than anything else, turns a woman on at the core of her being. Because here's the truth. Beauty, charm, even charisma, all of these are temporary currencies. They can attract attention, but they do not hold it. What holds a woman's respect, what sustains her attraction, is her recognition that the man she is with is anchored in something larger than himself. He is not tossed around by moods, not bent out of shape by pressure, not willing to sacrifice his principles just to be liked. His yes means yes, and his no means no. That steadiness is magnetic, especially for women who are surrounded by men constantly bending, compromising, and begging. Now, think about what it means to live without standards. A man who accepts everything, who tolerates disrespect, who has no boundaries, is not compassionate. He is weak, and weakness never inspires desire. Women may pity such men. They may even use them for validation, but they will never truly be drawn to them. Why? Because attraction is wired to respect strength. And strength is not about muscle or status. It is about the courage to stand firm when it matters. Integrity is that invisible shield that protects a man from selling out his soul. It means you cannot be bought not by beauty, not by approval, not by temporary pleasure. And this is where many men fail with beautiful women. They think that to win her, they must bend, they must accommodate, they must say yes to everything she wants. But in doing so, they lose the very essence that would have made her want them in the first place. Because a woman may enjoy attention, but what she craves at the deepest level is a man who cannot be moved off his center just because she is beautiful. That steadiness creates polarity. Philosophically, integrity is about truth. A man who lacks integrity is fractured. His words point one way, his actions another, his inner compass another. That fracture creates instability, and instability breeds distrust. But a man of integrity is integrated. His thoughts, words, and actions are one. And when a woman senses this, she feels safe. Not in a childish way of being taken care of, but in the profound way of knowing she is in the presence of someone who cannot be corrupted. That kind of safety is rare, and rarity is always attractive. Integrity also manifests in standards, what you allow and what you refuse to allow. A man without standards is like a door without hinges, open to everything, but unable to hold anything. Standards are not about arrogance or control, they are about self-respect. If you do not respect yourself enough to enforce boundaries, no one else will respect you either. And women, especially high-value women, are experts at testing this. Not because they are manipulative, but because they are instinctively searching for strength. They will push, they will challenge, they will test, not to destroy you, but to see if you can hold the line. And if you crumble under pressure, if you cave to keep her happy, she may smile, she may thank you, but inside she knows, this man cannot lead me, cannot hold me, cannot ground me. This is why integrity is not negotiable. It is the silent language of power. It says, I don't just talk about values, I live them. I don't just want respect, I embody it. I don't just desire loyalty, I practice it. Women can sense this instantly. They may be dazzled by charm for a moment, but it is integrity that keeps them invested. Now, let's be clear, integrity does not mean being rigid or inflexible. Life requires adaptability, but adaptability without a core is chaos. Integrity provides that core. You can adjust to situations, you can compromise on preferences, but you never compromise on principles. There is a difference between being open-minded and being spinless. One creates connection, the other kills attraction. And here's the paradox: when you hold your standards firmly, you may lose some women. There will be women who cannot handle a man who refuses to bend. But that loss is not a failure, it is a filter. Integrity filters out those who do not belong in your life. It leaves space only for women who respect you, who admire your strength, who find safety in your steadiness, and those are the women worth keeping. Think of history's most revered leaders, thinkers, and philosophers. They were not remembered because they were agreeable or accommodating. They were remembered because they stood firm in truth, even when it cost them everything. That same principle applies to attraction. The man who cannot be moved by beauty, by temptation, or by fear is the man who remains unforgettable. So if you want to know what turns a woman on beyond looks, beyond status, beyond charm, it is this: the unwavering presence of a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and what he will never compromise. That man is rare, that man is valuable, and that man does not need to chase because his very being draws others toward him. Closing line. Integrity is not just about being honest with others, it is about being unshakably loyal to yourself. And when you live from that place, you don't just attract women, you inspire them.